Sau-Yong. Thank you for having me today. It's nice to meet you and to interview you. Yeah, so I understand that there have been people that is calling you Horizon Chaser. How do you come up with the name and what does it actually mean?
It was a moniker that I gave myself when I started writing on this platform called Quora. So Quora is a question and answer platform where people from various professions can answer questions related to their industry. So I was thinking of a cool nickname to give myself. So I figured, since I'm an airline pilot and I frequently chase the horizon, so I just call myself the Horizon Chaser.
Yeah. Wow. So that's it. When did you first came up with this name? Like which year was it?
I think it might have been maybe somewhere between 2013 to 2015. Yeah.
And at that time you were already a pilot and flying.
Yes, I joined the airline in 2004, and after my training, I really seriously started flying as a commercial pilot from 2007 onwards.
Oh wow, yeah. That's close to 20 years, 19 years already.
Hey, don't make me feel old. Yeah, almost 2 decades now. Yeah, yeah.
And so you have taken on this journey for some time, and I also understand that you have this platform called the Chasing Horizon.
Yeah.
So when was Chasing Horizon founded?
Chasing Horizons was kind of like something that I came up with by accident because I'm fairly active on LinkedIn. So what I did was I was observing some prominent people on LinkedIn, and one of them is Eric Siu from KL, and he had this regular LinkedIn live sessions going on. So I thought it'd be a great idea to start experimenting with that as well. And so of course I have to call my own show something, right? So I thought, since I'm the Horizon Chaser, why don't I just call my LinkedIn Live Chasing Horizons? So and from there I started to build that brand. It's not only the name of the LinkedIn Live, it's also what I call the website. It's also what I use to brand the people development journey that I'm on. Because Chasing Horizons isn't only for pilots. I think of Chasing Horizons as expanding on human potential. Because human potential is infinite, just like our horizon. So that's why I like to think of Chasing Horizons is for everyone.
Oh, yeah. That's very cool.
Yeah.
Chasing Horizon is for everyone. You made me feel that there's a hope.
There's hope for everyone. Yeah.
So do you see that there's any similarities between your pilot career and with the Chasing Horizon? Yeah.
Well, I think it's definitely there are many similarities. So there's definitely a lot of seeds of inspiration that I found in my own life and career journey that I apply to Chasing Horizons. Because flying was something that I've always wanted to do since I was a boy, since maybe around the age of 10. And it was only in university where I was going through some struggles, reconciling what I was good at, which was studying at the time, and what I really wanted to do. So I would say that this Chasing Horizons thing was really born from some of my own experiences. How it's not just about hope, but everybody has their own strengths, their own untapped potential that they can realize and make a very inspiring reality in their own life. So yeah, so anybody can chase horizons. Everybody's horizon looks different. And the amazing thing is there's no end to it. So there's no destination. They always say it's about the journey and not the destination. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you have one superpower, right, you can apply to your job, what do you think it would be?
Wow. I would say my superpower won't be anything grand, won't be anything fantastic. It wouldn't even be flight. It would be maybe something like I don't need to sleep. Because there are only so many hours in a day. So the superpower I would choose would be either I don't need to sleep, or I only need to sleep a little bit and I can sleep on demand, because I do enjoy feeling refreshed after a good sleep. So that would be the superpower I would choose.
And why would you choose that to have sleep on demand?
Well, because I think one of the challenges that myself and many people face is the balancing our need for rest with what we want to do in life, spending time with the people who are important to us. So all these kind of things are part of the daily struggle of living. So when I get enough sleep, when I'm well rested, I'm at my best. But when I don't have enough sleep, then it's really a challenge to manage all these things that I want to do and I want to achieve in life. Yeah.
You mentioned that you already know that you wanted to fly at 10, at the age of 10.
Yeah.
Then during your university days, you were studying.
Yeah.
What was the struggle, or was there any struggle that you had, during the university days, that you wanted to pursue the career of being a pilot?
I think this is so my experience will probably be what many people go through in their teenage and young adult years, and that is we don't really know what we want to do in life because there are so many options, right? And sometimes because we don't really know what we do and we want as many options open as possible, we just take the safe option, which is I study as hard as possible, I get as many good grades as I can, and then I'll have more options to choose from. And that's kind of like the paradox of choice, right? When you have so many choices, you don't really know how to pick. So I was fairly good at pure sciences, in mathematics, in chemistry. So after my A-levels, I decided to pursue chemical engineering. But I tell people the most important lesson I learned in university is I learned what I don't want to spend the rest of my life doing. I think by my halfway through my first year, I already knew that I probably wasn't cut out for engineering. And when I was in my third year of study and I was doing my industrial attachment, which they now call internship, when I was doing my industrial attachment with an engineering firm, it was a fairly large global engineering firm. That's when I kind of knew that engineering is not for me, not only from the nature of the work involved, but also speaking with my supervisors at the company who have been in engineering for many years. So yeah, so that's kind of like how I knew. And when I graduated, I knew, okay, since I don't want to do this, then I might as well try for what I've always wanted all these years. Yeah.
So straight after graduating, you enroll yourself with the pilot school.
Yeah. So I had zero flying experience. I submitted an application to the airline and they provided a training from scratch all the way until I was fully qualified to fly a commercial airliner. Yeah.
Wow, that is very cool.
Thank you.
I think what you are doing is most men who have dreamed of to become a successful pilot. To
and nowadays, more and more women also. More and more women. So I've had mentees. So I mentor undergraduates, and I have more and more female mentees who are also interested in pursuing a career in aviation, in becoming commercial pilots as well. Yeah.
They say that women are more meticulous. Do you see that they have an advantage over men?
I can't say I noticed any particular difference, and I think not noticing any particular difference is a good thing. So it just tells you that both men and women can do the same role. Yeah. So I think that's pretty encouraging to see.
Right. Yeah. So Sau-Yong, with your experience of 19 years in being a pilot, right? And also you started with the Chasing Horizon.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you see certain skill set that you can bring over that benefits the Chasing Horizon?
I would say so for a large part of my career in aviation, I was involved in the development of the non-technical skills of pilots. So things like teamwork, communication, decision making, leadership, situational awareness. So all these skills are definitely applicable to areas outside of aviation. So when I think about Chasing Horizons and coaching people, right, there's a lot of overlap. So definitely there are many areas where I can share or relate my experiences to the people that I coach. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And with these experiences that you relate and bring over to coach these the people out there, right? Do you see yourself having what we call a portfolio career?
You know, that's a great term, portfolio career. I never really thought of it that way, but I guess if you were to say, if you were to describe a portfolio career as more than one way where we can use our skills in a way that benefits not only ourselves but also society at large, then yes, definitely it's become something like a portfolio career. It's a way of developing what I already know and then contextualizing it for people outside the aviation industry. So definitely, yeah, it's a form of a portfolio career.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay. Sau-Yong.
Yes.
Yeah. So we are here today in Seletar Camp.
Yeah.
The Winds of Asia.
Yeah.
Yeah. Seletar has changed so much over the years.
Yeah.
It makes me wonder. 19 years in your career, right, as a pilot, has it what has changed? You know, from a cadet all the way up to your current high-ranking position.
Okay, it's not so high ranking lah. I mean, yeah, definitely. You know, coming back here, Seletar brings back a lot of memories because it's where we start doing our flight training, and the place has changed so much. While it brings back a lot of memories, it's almost unrecognizable nowadays, and I think that's very synonymous with how my career within the airline has changed, and also how the industry is constantly experiencing change. So I think the ability to learn, the ability to adapt is something that's important not only within aviation but in many careers these days, because I think in a very interconnected world where we have a very where the nature of operations is very globalized, right? I think what happens in one part of the world will necessarily affect what happens in another part of the world. So, and this is not just something that happens to aviation, right? And we always say aviation is affected by security issues, by geopolitical threats, by the economic outlook, price of fuel, and even of course pandemic. And more large businesses are also facing similar challenges. And if I were to look at how, you know, when I was just a cadet pilot flying a small tiny aircraft around the airspace of Seletar Airport, and how now I'm flying something as modern as an Airbus 350 that can go direct from Singapore all the way to New York. And also, my next flight could be Singapore to Kuala Lumpur or Singapore to Jakarta and back. It's very appropriate that what I've learned in adapting to change is also something that can be used in other areas of work, in other types of professions. Yeah.
Yeah, that speaks with experience, from 19 years of experience. Yeah. So that actually comes my next question. Being in a very regulated and structured profession, right? How do you deal with the change of the flexibility, unpredictability in the coaching industry?
Yes, you're right in saying that aviation is highly regulated, and a large part of it is controlled for good reason, because we want to ensure certain standards in terms of safety and quality. And at the same time, there are many elements of aviation which is unpredictable. So I usually share people like a flight to as short as Singapore to Kuala Lumpur, which is less than an hour's flight time, right? A flight to KL today won't necessarily look the same as the flight to KL tomorrow, because the weather can change, the number of aircraft in the airspace can change, the profile of the passengers on board can also change. So that is the element of unpredictability, which also requires adaptability in flying. So how that applies to something like coaching. So coaching, everybody is different. So I think what helps in dealing with change in aviation and meeting people is always go in with an open mind. Have a plan, but don't stick to the plan at all costs. So my mentor shares with me this saying that the map is not the terrain. So it's good to have a rough idea of what might happen, but also stay open and pay attention to really what's going on in the environment and what's going on in the person in front of you.
Right.
So yeah.
So when you first started on this chasing horizon, right? Was there any misconception that other people had about?
Misconception? I won't really say that there was any misconception per se, but I did have a lot of people asking me, "Hey, so exactly what are you doing?" which is a good question because I was also asking myself exactly what am I doing.
Curious, right?
Yeah, I mean, and it was a valid question. People were curious about what I was doing because I wasn't writing necessarily or specifically about aviation things, but I was writing and creating content about my observations of the world at large, and also writing about and sharing my experience of connecting with people one-on-one. Because during the pandemic, when I wasn't flying that much, I used that time to really just go and meet people from different industries, learn from them, understand what they're going through, and that was a very valuable experience. So yeah, that's how I generally got to uh, clarify what Chasing Horizons was about, and ultimately share the broader message lah. So yeah, not really a misconception per se, but more like structuring it, giving the idea of Chasing Horizons more clarity.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. By along this path, right, by structuring and giving the Chasing Horizon more clarity, right? What was your biggest challenge?
Oh, biggest challenge I think biggest challenge is sometimes I'm just asking myself, hey, what am I doing? Am I doing the right thing? And right thing in the sense of, am I actually providing any value to anyone? I think at the heart of any kind of service, any kind of business, and when we talk about entrepreneurship, it is the act of being of service and providing value to someone. And so there's something I learned from this YouTube channel called Hybrid Calisthenics, right? About this providing value or being of service to people is always to start with who are the ones which were the most, how to put it, who are the closest to you, who are the most loyal in, so to speak, in terms of your following, your community, right? First 10 people, top 10 people that come to mind in terms of like following. And then they always think, okay, what would they like to see? What would help them? What would be of value to them? So I think that really was something that I fell back on and really helped me define that clarity and from the branding point of view. Yeah.
Does that takes you long for you to find your path for the clarity?
Oh, I think it's going to be a long journey because I don't think it ever ends. Okay, why I say it doesn't end is because number one, I will evolve as a person, and number two, the people who follow me, as in the following that I have, and also the clients that I meet will also evolve as people. So I think this process of gaining clarity is an ongoing process.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the way you share it. This ongoing process, right, help you to evolve. It
Yeah.
seems like related to the change that you have been constantly speaking about.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you were to go back to your 21-year-old self, what is one advice that you will share? Yeah.
Don't be so stubborn.
Don't be so stubborn.
I think when I was 21 years old, I was definitely more insecure, more immature, less willing to consider the points of view of more experienced, more mature people. I think it comes from a place of being very insecure, and the idea of if I accept help or if I accept advice from other people, it shows weakness, which now when I look back is incredibly silly, right? Then the other thing that I will also tell myself, my younger self, which I also still have to tell myself nowadays, is whenever I'm in doubt about other people, is to always give people the benefit of doubt. That means and to also try and be more kind. So if I don't really understand why somebody did something, or it feels like they offended me, then okay, to give them the benefit of doubt and try to be kind as much as possible.
Right.
So that's what I would tell my 21-year-old self.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for the opportunity to interview you today.
No problem. It was a real joy, Mike. thanks for having me. Yeah, I enjoyed our conversation today.